today, and thank you to Monarch for all the hard work that you put into this event every year. With the combination of a lack of affordable homes in New Jersey and the average worker earning about $10 per hour below wage, at which people can actually afford the typical two-bedroom apartment, people in New Jersey are being crushed. This kind of existence is not safe or sustainable. The latest Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, or ALICE report last year, shows that using conservative numbers, nearly 40%, or almost 2 out of every 5 New Jersey residents, cannot afford all their basic needs in our state. People and families find themselves falling behind on bills and in and out of homelessness. Statewide, almost 23% of homeless people are children. And if you look around District 9, people in Rutherford and Wayne are sliding back because of this growing economic inequality. And they looked very different from people in other parts of District 9. We have the resources to give everyone a decent standard of living. We just need to make it a priority as a nation and as a state. We sometimes still hear the phrase, and I say that as a social worker, I hear this, some people just want to be homeless. No homeless person I've ever met would choose not to have a home if they had a choice. We know from a study out of Washington University that by age 60, 79%, almost 80% of Americans will have experienced some economic hardship in their life. 54% will have lived below or near the federal poverty line at some point of their lives. In New Jersey, we know we lead the nation with almost half of our millennials still living at home with their parents because they cannot afford a home of their own. When people don't have opportunity, instead have barriers, how can we expect them to be self-sufficient or even survive? People cannot pull themselves up by their bootstraps when they don't have any boots. And that's why this funding that we're talking about is so critical today. In District 9 last year, about 50% or more of homeless people had a disability. Without needed programs like the ones we're advocating for today, their meager income is not enough to afford all of their basic needs. Further, the threats to cut Medicaid, Medicare, as we know it, would push them deeper into poverty. They will be forced to choose between a prescription they need or keeping the electricity on in their home. I grew up in poverty, and my family knows health care before the Affordable Care Act. For over 9 years, my mom, who's a diabetic and was working as a home health aide, couldn't afford the insurance through her employer at the time. And I, as a social work student in my undergraduate and graduate programs, worked part-time to be able to pay just for her insurance. Not everybody can afford to do that, and we certainly can't go back to before the Affordable Care Act, when that was the situation. Despite decent gains in reducing homelessness in recent years, more work needs to be done. Now is not the time to eliminate or reduce funding. In order to meet the needs of the chronically homeless in New Jersey, the McKinney-Vento grants, the National Housing Trust Fund, and the low-income housing tax credits need to not only be maintained, but increased. Recently, in Congressman Pascrell's district, there was a partnership that has evolved in our state recently with the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency and St. Joseph's Hospital in Patterson. They were just awarded a grant. And this is a combination of tax credits and housing vouchers, and we definitely need more federal funding to help us find these kinds of creative solutions for everybody. In addition, New Jersey is the 4th most segregated state in the nation. We know that with barriers to housing, because people of color, they're more likely to be in poverty and face homelessness. In fact, homeownership is one of the biggest sources of wealth for people in the U.S. However, white median wealth is about $144,000 compared to African American median wealth of about $11,000. That's 13 times less than the median wealth of whites. In order to increase the wealth of people of color, we must provide funding and remove barriers to owning a home. The expansion of housing vouchers and tax reform that helps the mortgage interest deduction reach more low-income New Jerseyans is critically needed for all people, but especially people of color, to obtain housing in the communities of their choosing. These programs help people give more opportunity to people so they can live in communities with good schools for their children, better paying jobs, access to appropriate health care and transportation. We cannot continue to stack the deck against people and create narratives that blame them. Opportunity has to be accessible to everyone. It's not an American dream if only a small percentage of American people can access it. What's great about America is its good people, and we know there are a lot of good people out there who don't have housing security, that are homeless. One of my mentors said, people who have direct experience with the issue at hand need to be part of the solutions. Only they know when their pain is healed or relieved. Thank you to the many people here today who know what it's like to be homeless or not have a safe and sustainable home, for sharing your thoughts and advocating for these solutions. And thank you to the people from District 9 who came here today to urge our New Jersey delegation and Congressman Chris Grell, who's a good friend, to say no to housing cuts and increase access for all. Everyone deserves a safe home, health, and the ability to thrive. Opportunity starts at home.